Hey folks, welcome back to the Leeds Gamer. Just before we get into the details of the video, do please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Do please like and hype the video, and please hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any future content. And also, for any of you that watch who are a Leeds United fan and get to see the games either on TV or live at the stadium, if any of you would like to join me to create a podcast on the channel to talk about all things Leeds United, then do please let me know. It's something I'm really keen to create. You could be someone that might just want to come on as a one-off guest now and again, or you might be someone that would like to come on weekly. I'm looking to do the podcast once a week, and somewhere between half an hour and an hour for each one. So if that takes your interest, do please let me know. I'll be happy to hear from you. So let's get into the video. It's match preview time. It's felt like a long time since I've done one of these. Flipping international breaks. But it's not the Premier League, it's the FA Cup quarter-final. When was the last time that we saw Leeds United get into a quarter-final of a cup? That's some time ago now. But we've been given a tough tie. It is against fellow Premier League team West Ham United. If this was a Premier League game, then a lot of people would be calling it a relegation six-pointer, with Leeds and West Ham involved in the battle to survive. However, with it being a cup match, these lineups could be completely and utterly wrong. And there's nothing I can do about it, because with it being a cup, this is the nature of the cup. Some key players will be left out, and others will play in their place. So let's start with the West Ham team. In terms of their goalkeepers, I've virtually gone with players that have played less for West Ham this season. But there are a couple of caveats in this, and I'll point it out as we go along. So in terms of their goalkeepers, they've got Areola, Fabianski and Hermansen, and Areola's been their first choice based on the number of minutes played. So I've gone with Hermansen, the former Leicester City goalkeeper. At right back, I've gone with former Southampton right back Kyle Walker-Peters. Left back, I've gone with Ollie Scarles. Centre backs, I've gone with Axel Disasi, who I believe was a January transfer into the club. And he has played some regular minutes ever since. But again, because I don't know enough about West Ham, I've gone with him on the basis he's still played less than Kilman and Mavropanos. So I've gone with the backline of Disasi, and then youngster Ezra Mayers, who has played a few minutes this season. I would assume it's in the cup games. He's a young player, so this is a good opportunity for him to gain some first team experience. Especially with it being against a fellow Premier League side. I've gone with a relatively young midfield for them in Sungutu Magasa and Mahamadou Kante. Both of those are relatively young. I think they're like 20 and 22. But again, it's a cup match, so they have every chance of featuring. And then kind of gone with I guess it's they could either play a couple of these guys on the wings, or they could play almost like a diamond up front or something like that. You'd never play them as a front four, because no team ever plays with a front four. But ultimately, you've got the experienced Adama Traore, the even more experienced Callum Wilson, And then the two new lads that came in that cost West Ham a combined £50 million in January, these being Pablo Pereira and Valentin Castellanos. These guys have all played less than the likes of Somerville, Bowen, players that are going to be crucial for the league. Now, here's the thing, because these guys were brought in to try and help them with the league situation, there is a possibility they might not play. Somerville's injured anyway, so he's unlikely to start at a squeeze. He might make the bench possibly. From a midfield point of view, they've got another young player, but he's a very good young player in Matheus Fernandes, signed for big money from Southampton. They've got youngster Freddie Potts, who is the son of former West Ham legend Steve Potts. He could quite well feature. There's also the experienced Czech international Tomáš Souček. And then, from upfront point of view, what we've mentioned here is literally what they've got. So, a little bit like Leeds are a little bit short in the striker department, if truth be told. They haven't got a lot of depth, not in actual strikers. Leeds only have 3 themselves, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of lineup West Ham can put out. In terms of their injured players, it's Somerville, and then centre back Todibo and goalkeeper Fabianski. So chances are those 3 will not feature in this particular cup match unless they make a miraculous recovery. And ultimately they've got, as you can see there, they've got the majority of their squad fit and available. Leeds are pretty similar. Now, you might be thinking, why, Clive, why have you created a bench that basically has no strikers? Well, the situation is this. Daniel Farke said in his press conference today that there is a chance that Dominic Calvert-Lewin might not make the match, having come back from England duty with a bit of an injury. And I think the best way to deal with this match against West Ham is that we need to put them away quickly. So we need to start with a very nice attacking lineup, which is what I've tried to go for. And we still have attacking options, just not a natural number 9 on the bench. So I think Calvert-Lewin might miss out due to that injury, because again, like how West Ham need their firepower for the remainder of the season, Leeds need theirs, and Dom is crucial. I think whether or not he misses out again, I don't see how Facundo gets into the team, because he's just never going to get fit enough quick enough. We desperately need Gabriel Goodmanson available for the league, so I've dropped him out completely. He's going to be in a fantastic mood after his home country Sweden obviously qualified for the World Cup, but he's such a vital player for us. I wouldn't risk him. He's played quite a bit in the recent internationals as well, so yeah, wrap GG in proverbial cotton wool as far as I'm concerned. And then you've got Ilamelier and Alex Cairns missing out in the goalkeeper department. So going on to the bench, Caldalo is basically our number 1 at the moment, so there's no need to play Carl. Jayden Bogle, again, has been our regular right back. We're going to need him for that league running. Very much the same situation with Joe Rodden and Pascal Struijk in defence as well. So I've put all those 3 on the bench. Quite a bit of midfield depth on the bench there with Ilya Gruev, Anton Stack, and Brendan Aronson, who can play either in an advanced midfield role or out wide. And then the 2 wingers of Willie Gnonto and Dan James. I think there's enough firepower to bring on from the bench there to certainly affect the game. We know that the likes of Noah Okafor can't last 90 minutes usually, because he's usually burnt out after 70. So you've got 2 natural replacements on the bench for him. Lucas Mecha, again, depending on how you develop it, if Lucas can't get through the entire game, there's ways again around it. Joel Peru got his first caps for Suriname. Unfortunately for them, they didn't qualify, but he'll gain some confidence from getting that international exposure, and ultimately, with this kind of lineup, you'd have Joel either as a 9 or a 10, depending on how you want to play. So with this, you can make those adjustments. If you don't start Joel as the 9, you can make him the 9 later on, and then you can bring the substitutes on and put them in other positions. Gone with a pair of strong midfielders in Sean Longstaff and Ao Tanaka. Ao's going to be in a great mood after Japan beat England, and they beat Scotland as well. So he's going to be in a good mood about all of that. Sean Longstaff didn't feature internationally, so he should be in good shape, having got some extra training sessions in there. Do apologise, my nose is irritating again, as per usual. And then I've gone with the back line, with the back 5, as always. So I've gone with Sam Barham and James Justin at fullback. Why not give Sam a game? Why not? He's probably fit, so why not? James Justin, yeah, he's one of our regular backups that can cover anywhere on the back line. Very, very decent season for James Justin, so that's a no-brainer there. It's a good opportunity for Seb Bornau to get some minutes. So he would partner Jacobiol and Captain Ethan Ampadu, which I think makes a strong enough back line, because when you look at the lineup for West Ham, even if they go with their main strikers, they don't have a lot of height in the squad. Souček's one of their tallest players, and there's no guarantee that Souček starts. So, with these players not being overly massively tall, we don't necessarily need to have Jacobiol, Joe Rodon and Pascal Struijk all on the pitch. Ethan Ampadu's a bit more mobile, and Seb Bornau can get about quite well for a big fella, and then just keep Yaka in that central role, mopping anything up that comes towards him. And then both James and Sam can cut inside and support the back 3 if they need to. That's never been a problem before for our fullbacks. They're quite happy to come in and help defensively. So yeah, that's my lineup. So formation wise for Leeds, it would be something along the lines of either a 3 or a 5 at the back. And then you've got 2 very central midfielders, and then kind of like a front 3 really, I guess, or a front 2 with a 10. When we're attacking as well, Ethan Ampadu can be afforded to support the attack, or at least anchor the attack, on the basis that he's a more natural midfielder. So if we've got our fullbacks doing wing back stuff, then you simply put, you leave Seb Bornau and Jacobiol at the back, to cover any counter attacking. So I mean, that's a very basic overview of it. Lucas Perry, as well. No reason not to start Lucas. He's been pretty good in the cup matches actually this season. Hasn't let us down in any of them. So yeah, for me, I've got no qualms of giving Lucas some more minutes, seeing how he does and seeing how he copes. No bones about it. This is going to be a tough opposition. You know, West Ham have improved their form in recent weeks, and I mean, the thing is about all of this, you just don't know what lineups are going to be put out by either manager. Both of these managers, now that they've got to the quarterfinals, are going to want to try and win this cup. But because both clubs are in the relegation battle, they've got to be very cautious about who they start in this match. So it's going to be fascinating to see what the lineups are. I think it'll be a very competitive match. I think both teams will go for it. I don't really see either team kind of sitting back and trying to defend it out for the 90. The two things we don't want is extra time and penalties. Let's get this game won in 90 minutes, which is why I've gone with quite an attacking lineup. You know, because while Sean Longstaff can kind of do a bit of both in terms of defending and attacking, Outenacker can definitely do both. And you've got a front three there that are very attack minded. You know, I think we can have a real go at West Ham here, and it's possible that we might go with something different. You know, Daniel Farke might have Joel Pirou on the bench, and he might start Brendan Aronson just for that engine and work rate, and start with Metcher and Okafor up front, or have Okafor and Aronson either side of Metcher. Or he might decide to go with out-and-out wingers. He might decide to start with Dan James and Wilfred Gnonto. Wouldn't surprise me if he did. Wouldn't surprise me if Ilya Gruev gets some game time here. You know, this is always difficult to predict lineups for cup matches. I mean, the easiest way to go about it would simply be to predict that it's going to be the players that have played the least this season. But it's never that clear cut. And when you've got to the quarterfinals of the cup, you're only, 3 matches away from winning the damn thing. So this is the point where, Daniel Farke might decide, actually, I'll go with a lineup that's more similar to what we played in the league. Which is unfortunate for the players that are missing out. But when you look at our lineup, we don't really have young players. So it's not like we're giving young players a chance to try and cut the teeth in the lineup. These are all senior pros. So there's really no reason for Daniel Farke to not trust this squad and give them all some minutes. And again, you don't ever give charity minutes. But what if we get injuries to our key players in the final games of the season and some of these guys aren't fully match fit? That ain't going to benefit Leeds whatsoever. So these FA Cup matches are perfect to play the players who have played the least this season. Get them on the pitch, get them some competitive minutes, and let's see what they can do, because this is a good opposition we've got here. This is going to be a good match. There's all the potential for a good match. I think both of these teams are going to look to want to try and progress here. There's on the flip side of it, whichever team gets knocked out, they'll be able to focus on the league for the rest of the season. So they won't necessarily see it as a bad thing. But if you win it, and you get to play at Wembley at least once, if not twice, because I think the semi-finals at Wembley as well these days, isn't it? So there's a carrot on the stick, and it's just a case of whether one of these teams wants to bite it and progress and attempt to win the cup. I mean, at the end of the day, you never know who you might get in the following rounds, whoever's left in it. I can't exactly remember who is. Why not? Let's have a go at this thing. But we must keep our senior players fit. That's the big thing for me. We don't want any key injuries. That's why I've suggested we leave Gabby Gudmundsson out completely. We can't afford to lose our best players. We have to stay in the Premier League. The Premier League is the priority. But it is Cup weekend, so let's see how we do. So, big thank you for watching. Do please remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Please like and like the video, and also hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any future content. And again, if you're interested in joining me to create an unofficial Leeds United podcast on the channel, do please let me know. But in the meantime, have a good one, folks. Let's hope we progress to the next round, the semi-final, and see what we go with. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win to Leeds. Yeah, 2-1 win. Goal scorers, let's go Okafor and Tanaka. Why not? I think the goal from West Ham might come from Callum Wilson. There we go. So, yep, with all that in mind, folks, have a good one. See you next time. Bye for now.